I talked to Mr. Coburn. I just run the report. It's going to McGregor next. But we could take the one up the boulevard and put it on Bridgeview and then go south with it. I mean, that's actually not a bad idea. You know, when we take that one down. Kathleen, come. Going to make sure you have.
They're discussing
For that, so.
the,
Annex acropolis, we should look and add that.
I know, and then you guys, I got it.
That's what they want me to do.
Okay. I never thought about that.
the new ones.
Yeah, me too, then.
I get
Good idea. And mine's.
Always waiting for the lawyers.
I got a few.
Okay.
You have that, the other thing you have out of any anymore.
No, I don't really. And. I do not.
Hello.
I know. Pull it out of your sock. Still doing this.
There's a slight delay. That's the result of the Janet Jackson Super Bowl.
Yeah, we don't want to see any names out here, please.
Okay, are we ready? Okay, I'm going to call the Tuesday, May 6, 2025 regular session of council to order at 6:02 PM. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Cray. Mr. Moran. Mr. Dunman.
Here.
Ms. Gersh. Mrs. Griora.
Here.
Okay, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, good and welfare. So this is a fun night. We have a lot on the actually good and welfare agenda this evening. I added a couple things. Let's start with, we're going to sing happy birthday to Councilwoman Griora. So I'm going to go to 1, 2, 3, and then we'll start. Nobody really wants to hear me sing. So we're all going to have to pick it up here. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Michelle. Happy birthday to you. 48 today. 28 years ago it was. Okay. Now, unfortunately, we've had a couple of sad moments in the past month or so, past couple of weeks, actually, where we've lost a couple of longtime residents. So if we could have a moment of silence for the passing of Miss Alba on longtime resident of Brow Avenue, and Mrs. Cecila, Joanne Cecila, very active member of the community and the St. John de Pomocene Church as well. So if we could, just a moment of silence for their passing. Thank you. Okay. So with that, I have the pleasure of introducing the 2025 Miss Poppy and Mr. Poppy. And so we have Miss Poppy, do you want a microphone? Do you want a microphone? You want a mic? Oh, okay. 2025, Harley Caffardi and Jason Seymour Jr.
Kelly earned her eligibility through her great-grandfather, James Bird Senior, U.S. Navy, World War II. Kelly has been a duty member of auxiliary unit 67 to 7 years. Her parents are Joe Party and Katie Berthosen, and her siblings are Tegan and Sawyer. Kelly loves to swim, golf, and dance. She loves her horses too. And most of all, she loves spending time with her family. And then we have Jason, and Jason is 10. He's in the fourth grade at Cuyahoga Heights Elementary School. Jason earns his eligibility to the Sons of the American Legion due to his grandfather, Norbert Creedy, U.S. Army career. He has been a cell member since birth. His parents are Jason Seymour Senior and Jessica Boland, and his siblings are Tyler Ryan and Sue Ellen Crook. Sue is a former Miss Poppy of our 67 years. Jason enjoys listening to music and being in drama club. He recently performed as Mr. Bucket in the Christmas production of Willy Wonka Chair.
Thank you. Yeah. I think Jason goes to school with him. He's younger, but.
No,
Your Poppy.
yeah, it's here. It was here for a long time.
You're up, Bill.
Very impressed. So it's moving chairs.
Okay, we're almost
Fourth, okay, so you're, my daughter.
Oh, wait, I get this. And feed it to my. Sorry. She's got to reverse. It goes into the money. And so
Do you need an executive?
We do.
Anything bad?
No, I don't think so. There's a property that I want to ask about. That I need to basically explain to council why we need it, and then I added it to the agenda. But I'm assuming because it's a regular session, I can just add it. We don't need to do a motion or anything, right?
To add it to the agenda?
Yeah,
It never hurt to do it.
I'm just gonna ask them,
What'd you do?
because I don't know if they're voting twice. I fucking don't know how they're voting.
By mail and talk to. But yeah.
you for all you do.
Thank you, Miss Poppy. Thank you, Master Coffee.
Okay, and my two final items on for good and welfare are letters of commendation to Officer Tosler and Officer Russell Ververka. The letters of commendation are from the fire department for their work in helping save a life. And so kudos to them for going above and beyond and making sure that they took the extra life-saving steps they need to take and protecting and serving. Council, do you have any good and welfare?
Yes.
Microphone, please.
We'd like to wish another birthday council person back, Mrs. Gersh. Hopefully you came back with some money and at least the clothes on your back you came back with.
That's about it.
Happy birthday.
Thanks.
She went to Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Vegas with all 5 of my sisters who we haven't been together since we were kids. And we had a blast. So,
Okay, any other, that's it for good and welfare, council? Yep. All right. Can I have a motion to enter executive session for the discussion of personnel issues to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, pending and potential litigation and property acquisitions if necessary.
So moved.
Second,
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Cray,
yes.
Mr. Moran,
yes.
Mr. Dunman,
Yes.
Ms. Gersh,
Yes.
Mrs. Greora. Yes.
Okay, we are in executive session. We're going to move to the conference room off in the administrative wing of the building. We'll be back in about 15 minutes. I hope. Okay, could I have a motion to resume regular session?
So moved.
Moving to second, clerk, could you please call the roll?
Mrs. Cray,
Yes.
Mr. Moran.
Yeah.
Mr. Dunman,
Yes.
Ms. Gersh,
Yes.
Mrs. Greora.
Yes.
Regular session is resumed at 6:30 PM. If I could remind council and department heads, please use your microphones when speaking, including calling for votes. Council has before them for approval, the April 22nd, 2025 special session of council meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Minutes are approved. Council has before them ordinance 2025-19 presented for suspension of rules and adoption. Clerk, will you please read the ordinance?
Who made this agenda that this went on 2 pages? I apologize. I didn't have a computer. An ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into an agreement with Ohio Business Machines LLC for the lease of a copier and related office equipment, and to enter into a related lease agreement with Donellan McCarthy Enterprises, Inc., and declaring an emergency.
Is there any discussion?
This was approved by motion at the previous meeting, so the contract has already been signed. And chief hopefully has his equipment scheduled to be installed.
Oh.
There, that was easy.
That's scary.
Yeah, this is the part where we need somebody to make a motion to approve it.
Oh, I
Well,
thought you
wait
said
a
it was
minute,
already
so
done. I'm sorry,
moved.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Second.
Try this again.
Please
Yeah.
call the roll.
Mrs. Cray?
This is for suspension of rules, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Dunman?
Yes.
Ms. Gersh?
Yes.
Mrs. Greor? Yes.
Please call the roll to adopt.
Mrs. Cray?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Dunman?
Yes.
Ms. Gersh?
Yes.
Mrs. Greor? Yes.
Ordinance 2025-19 is adopted. Council has before them ordinance 2025-20 presented for suspension of rules and adoption. Clerk, will you please read the ordinance?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District Member Community Infrastructure Program and to execute contracts as required, and declaring an emergency.
No discussion. Mayor, I move that ordinance 2025-20 be adopted, rules suspended, and that ordinance 2025-20 be placed on its first, second, and final reading for immediate passage.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll for suspension of rules.
Mrs. Cray?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Dunman?
Yes.
Ms. Gersh?
Yes.
Mrs. Greora? Yes.
Please call the roll to adopt.
Mrs. Cray?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Dunman?
Yes.
Ms. Gersh?
Yes.
Mrs. Greora? Yes.
Ordinance 2025-20 is adopted. Council has before them ordinance 2025-21 presented for suspension of rules and adoption. Clerk, will you please read the ordinance?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Love Insurance Agency to procure comprehensive insurance coverage through policies brokered by Love Insurance Agency and underwritten by Tokyo Marine HCC Public Risk Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Are there questions, comments?
How much difference is this from prior years? About,
I think it's about 15, the premium, you mean? It's
Yes.
about 15, but we've had quite a few claims in the past.
I know that, that's why I was worried about. Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I move that ordinance 2025-21 be adopted, rules suspended, and that ordinance 2025-21 be placed on its first, second, and final reading for immediate passage.
Second.
Please call the roll for suspension of rules.
Mrs. Cray?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Dunman?
Yes.
Ms. Gersh?
Yes.
Mrs. Greora?
Yes.
Please call the roll to adopt.
Mrs. Cray?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Dunman?
Yes.
Ms. Gersh?
Yes.
Mrs. Greora?
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-21,
One.
excuse me, is adopted. Thank you. Council has before them resolution 25-15 presented for suspension of rules and adoption. Clerk, will you please read the resolution?
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter an agreement with the Village of Newburgh Heights and Joseph Milano for Public Works Consulting Services in the Village of Newburgh Heights and declaring an emergency.
Are there questions?
Mayor, I move that resolution 25-15 be adopted, rules suspended, and that resolution 25-15 be placed on its first, second, and final reading for immediate adoption.
Second.
Please call the roll for suspension of rules.
Mrs. Craig?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Dunman?
Yes.
Ms. Gersh?
Yes.
Mrs. Griora?
Yes.
Please call the roll to adopt.
Mrs. Craig?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Dunman?
Yes.
Ms. Gersh?
Yes.
Mrs. Griora?
Yes.
Resolution 25-15 is adopted. Council has before them resolution 25-16 presented for suspension of rules and adoption. Clerk, will you please read the resolution?
A resolution authorizing the fiscal officer to enter into a depository agreement with the Huntington National Bank and declaring an emergency.
Yeah, every 4 years, we're required by law to designate who our bank is. And Huntington Bank has been our bank. Yeah, it's because it happens so infrequently that, it's I don't even know why we do it, but it's a state law and kind of perfunctory, so.
Mayor, I move that resolution 25-16 be adopted, rules suspended, and that resolution 25-16 be placed on its first, second, and final reading for immediate passage.
Second.
Please call the roll for suspension of rules.
Mrs. Craig?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Dunman?
Yes.
Ms. Gersh?
Yes.
Mrs. Griora?
Yes.
Please call the roll for adoption.
Mrs. Craig?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Dunman?
Yes.
Ms. Gersh?
Yes.
Mrs. Griora?
Yes.
Resolution 25-16 is adopted. Council has before them payroll resolutions 4655, 4656, and 4657 presented for suspension of rules and adoption. Clerk, will you please read the resolutions?
A resolution authorizing and directing the payment of certain bills, be it resolved by the council of the Village of Newburgh Heights of Ohio that the following bills be paid and the same are hereby approved and the fiscal officer and mayor are hereby respectfully authorized to draw their warrants and check for payment of said bills as set forth on the following pages in the total amount of $82,980.84 and declaring an emergency. Payroll resolution 4656, a resolution authorizing and directing the payment of certain bills. Be it resolved by the council of the Village of Newburgh Heights of Ohio that the following bills be paid and the same are hereby approved and the fiscal officer and mayor are hereby respectfully authorized to draw their warrants and checks for payment of said bills as set forth on the following pages in the total amount of $96,757.85. Payroll resolution 4657, a resolution authorizing and directing the payment of certain bills. Be it resolved by the council of the Village of Newburgh Heights of Ohio that the following bills be paid and the same are hereby approved. And the fiscal officer and mayor are hereby respectfully authorized to draw their warrants and checks for payment of said bills as set forth on the following pages in the total amount of $92,702.17 and declaring an emergency.
Mayor, I move that payroll resolutions 4655, 4656, and 4657 be adopted, rules suspended, and that payroll resolutions 4655, 4656, and 4657 be placed on their first, second, and final reading for immediate passage.
Thank.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll for suspension of rules.
Mrs. Craig?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Dunman?
Yes.
Ms. Gersh?
Yes.
Mrs. Griora?
Yes.
Please call the roll to adopt.
Mrs. Craig?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Dunman?
Yes.
Ms. Gersh?
Yes.
Mrs. Griora?
Yes.
Payroll resolutions 4655, 4656, and 4657 are adopted. Moving on to reports, Councilwoman Cray.
The first thing I would like to inform everyone, the ACON that was on April 12th, we had 20 families, 52 kids, 38 adults. And I need to extend a terrific thank you for our Easter Bunny, the mayor's daughter. She was fabulous. And then I also want to thank Haley Moran, who was sitting next to me, and she made it easy. I got to sit there and just say, yeah, you can do that. Go ahead, do that. I didn't have to do anything. She was so good. And plus, Steve, can I congratulate her?
Yeah.
On all she just won a Mandela Award, $90,000 from them. What else? The gold cords that you can wear
Old sash.
for the SAG for graduation. She has done extremely well.
Next attorney.
Next we'll have another attorney. Okay, that's that. And then I wanted to ask Mr. Dunman, are we still having a Recon Seniors meeting on May 8th?
At 5 p.m.
At 5 p.m.? Okay. Just wanted to double check. I hadn't heard anything. Okay. And I think, and there is something that was being passed around. Does anybody know where it went to? There was a card. It went back this way. Okay. Okay, can we pass it down, please? Go ahead, give it to her. Oh.
Here you go. Happy birthday.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, and that's all I have. Mr. Moran.
Just want to thank everybody that helped out for the Easter parade. It went out really good. Fire department, police department, service department, all of council. Came out, you know, it was cold, but the kids had a good time and that's all that matters. Thank you.
Mr. Dunman?
I have seniors and rec meeting Thursday, the 8th, 5 p.m. Top of my list. Happy Mother's Day coming up. We have a parade, the Memorial Day parade on the 26th. I'm sure, I hope somebody has more detail because I don't. And the Southerly wastewater tunnel construction over by the Metro Parks parking lot, soccer field. I have lots of concerns that I'm going to put in an email and address with the sewer district. Thank you. So council, you all be getting that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilwoman Gersh? Councilwoman Guerrero?
I'd just like to remind residents that we put out a mailer, and in that mailer are the upcoming events for the next several months. I'd like to encourage everyone to use that 216-641-2123 number to register. We've got several events coming up, and I'd like to make sure that folks are referring to that mailer and using it to register for our events. We're especially looking for teenagers still and for seniors for a senior bus trip. So please remember to call in with your suggestions and registration for any of those events, 641-2123. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. All right. Couple things. I've got some interesting comments. The website is back up. It does have some work to be done on it. So it's functional. There's going to be some changes to it still, but the website is functioning again.
Thank you.
There was a lot of hoopla in the last couple weeks about an event that occurred with me personally at a basketball game in Nordonia. Occurred in May, or occurred in January. Thank you. And quite bluntly, despite how the Ed and Peggy Gallick siblings chose to report it, what really occurred is a strange man ran onto a basketball court where my daughter was playing basketball. My daughter is on that court. I'm going onto the court, and that's exactly what happened. I went onto the court. I was motioning and signaling to a referee, pointing toward a corner of the court. I don't exactly remember what occurred. And the gentleman that ran on the court decided he would take the opportunity to punch me in the side of the head. And that's exactly what happened. And yes, I became irate and attempted to hit him back. I wasn't even talking to this man when he hit me. I wasn't talking about this man when he hit me. He then hit me again after I was restrained. Yes, I received a ticket. I received a $150 ticket because I wasn't supposed to be on the court. He actually received a misdemeanor criminal charge. I will go on the court every single time a strange man runs on the basketball court where my daughter is. Nobody knew who this guy was. He had been shouting obscenities the entire game. I don't apologize for it. I'll take that ticket every single time. That's it. That's what happened. I shouldn't have been on the court, but I'll do it again if that happens again. But I do want to thank Ed and Peggy Gallick for pointing out how many people care about their children as the response I've seen from social media. It was heartening to know that people cared about their kids. Okay, I want to, it has been about 1 year since the tragic death of a former resident and the son of one of the longtime Villages residents. The Perez family lost their son on a murder on Interstate 77. I want to extend my condolences again to the Perez family. And a little bit of justice was served yesterday when the accused was convicted and will spend the next 35 to 40 years in prison. So a little bit of justice. It will not bring the Perez's son back. But fortunately, the dangerous human being is no longer running the streets. Today, I attended a case that relates to the Village of Newburgh Heights and elections. A gentleman named Todd Knight attempted to run for council in 2003. An investigation occurred that determined he actually wasn't a resident of Newburgh Heights. The state of Ohio, 2023, the state of Ohio conducted an investigation. The Bureau of Criminal, BCI, conducted an investigation and charged him with multiple felony charges, including bribery, perjury, election falsification. We didn't do that. Nobody up here did that. But a man tried to steal an elected office in Newburgh Heights. In the state of Ohio, and I know I've had my tangle with the state of Ohio, did an investigation, and that gentleman was convicted of 2 felonies today for trying to steal a council seat in Newburgh Heights. So Todd Knight was convicted of 2 felonies today. So it's been an active couple weeks in the courts for the Village of Newburgh Heights, in the media for the Village of Newburgh Heights. Beyond that, the early months have been tough fiscally, although we are starting to turn that corner. Things are starting to improve. I did get a report from the chief of police, the camera program. I do not operate the camera program. My company doesn't get a cut of the money from the camera program. I know that's a popular trope that exists today. The chief of police runs the camera program independently of my office in conjunction with council. However, I do get the reports of the impact of that on the village because it has a major impact. And it's my understanding that we are on track. The cameras are up and running as they need to be and are, for the first time since we've switched camera firms, operating as efficiently or better than they were previously. The construction project in the 20s has kicked back up and started. Finally, Fabrizi has returned. The weather has not helped, of course, but they are back. That project should be done within 2 months, fully done within 2 months. And then the East 26th Street sewer separation and construction project will start. We have not forgotten about that neighborhood. In fact, we have spent in the, what will be now the last 2 years, all said and done, roughly $3.5 million will have been spent on 4 streets in that neighborhood. Because we believe they deserve to have water lines that work, sewer lines that work, paved streets, new sidewalks like everybody else does. So we've been fortunate enough to target those resources into that neighborhood. And it's been difficult. This is the first construction project we've had since I can remember that has carried over through a winter. It has been tough on the residents in that neighborhood. I can't say I'm sorry enough. I can't tell you how many times we've had some pretty knockdown, drag out arguments with the contractor to the point they wouldn't talk to me anymore. Because they didn't like the fact that I told them they should be out there working. But the good news is they are back. So things are starting to kick up and roll positively as we move through into the summer months. Council, do you have any questions for me? Okay. Kathleen, floor is yours.
Right, council has a pile of reports from the finance office. We'll start with the Rita tax report for April 2025. We received $107,828.66 in April, which was an increase of $6,328.25 or 6.23% over April of 2024. And the advance for May is already very encouraging. So it seems as though everyone has been filing and paying their Rita taxes, which we like. And the March 2025 fund cash report, a little out of date because of the way the meetings are falling, but general fund receipts in March 2025 were $401,637.92. General fund disbursements in March 2025 were $344,635.43. And the unexpended balance in the general fund in March 2025 was minus $314,652.03. All funds receipts in March 2025 were $709,879.80. All funds disbursements in March 2025 was $659,456.48. And the unexpended balance in all funds in March 2025 was $556,823.24. Questions from council? That's all I have.
Chief Majoy.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. With respect to the accommodation, I think that it's notable to mention the fire department, what they did. The officer, I watched the body cam, the house was in disarray. The officers had to literally pick up a bed and move it and hold it up and while doing CPR, and then the fire department came in. It was just good teamwork, and the person lived. And so it was very notable, but I think it's worth mentioning that the fire department did equally a good job with that.
I take it the police officers got there first.
They did, the police officers got there first and kind of cleared a path
Yeah,
for the house was in disarray, putting it lightly.
yeah.
And, but they got things rolling. And so, it was just good teamwork.
Yeah.
The video just shows it because they cleared a path. They had, one officer's literally holding a bed up while the other one's giving CPR. And then Lieutenant Jordan and company, they came in and, they did a good job and they saved a life. And, again, good teamwork. I've mentioned in the past about certain kind of training for police officers called Crisis Intervention Team, or commonly referred to as CIT. And Crisis Intervention Team is basically teaching police officers de-escalation techniques when dealing with the special needs population, people who are in excited delirium, suffering from mental illness. And as a CIT officer myself, I value this training. And as a general rule, for crisis intervention, it is recommended that police departments are around the 20 to 30% mark in terms of their personnel being trained. I am happy to announce that the Newburgh Heights Police Department is 100% CIT trained. Every full-time officer has attended CIT training, which I think is a good accolade. We deal with a lot of folks who suffer from mental illness. Mental illness is not a crime, nor a choice. And having officers with the ability to de-escalate is critical. So I just wanted to share that with you. With respect to what Mr. Dunman spoke of with the sewer project, my office has received several complaints of trucks that are coming down Washington Park Boulevard. We presume they're coming from the construction site, so I've sent an email to them. I spoke to Mr. Sickles about it before the meeting, just to kind of give them a heads up that we will be aggressively enforcing it. If they come down Washington Park Boulevard, they are going to be cited. Sorry if you're coming from the construction site. We've laid out the rules 2 years ago when we first started this whole process. So I think it's probably just a couple subs, perhaps subcontractors maybe, but all the same, the road's rated for 10,000 pounds. These trucks are coming in at 80. You don't see an immediate effect on the road, but over time it does impact it. The mayor mentioned the camera program. In your packets, I have shared the speed limit signs that light up, and those things keep numbers. And two key things to note. One is that we're seeing a lot of speeders on Washington Park Boulevard where the sign is installed. We are installing a photo enforcement device. It'll be just north of the dog park on the west side of the road. It is a very difficult area for police officers to enforce because we either have to sit in someone's driveway and they're gonna see us and slow down, or we have to be moving. And so with the call volume and everything else, this is gonna be impactful. And I rewind the clock when I first became chief, when we had the portable devices during the summer months, we set them in front of the dog park. And I'm like, why are you putting them over there? Until like a week into it, we're getting cars in the 50s and the 60s over there. And I thought, well, that's why we put them over there. And so we're kind of hoping that this will impact the number of violations. If you look in that sheet that I handed out, there's definitely not a shortage. There was several well into the 50s, one over 70 on the boulevard, which is very dangerous, as you know. With respect to Pierce, these devices that you approved and we installed, they have a camera on them, and it takes a picture, but the problem is that the picture is taken after the car goes by because they're not speed enforcement. But I would get text messages and emails of high-speed violators. Well, we had somebody on Pierce that was trying to double or triple the speed limit. We narrowed it down to the times, and kudos to our midnight shift. They caught the individual going about 2.5 times the speed limit, and they got a ticket for reckless operation and aggravated speed. They'll be seeing the magistrate next court date. So mission accomplished. And it was a person whom we had received complaints about. We'd already talked to this person, said, hey, you got to slow down. And clearly he didn't get the message. A few points on his license on a hefty fine. Hopefully that'll do the trick. Well, if we get them again, then we get them again. So that is all I have to report unless anybody has any questions for me.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Higgs?
Mayor, just to add to the 20s project, also all new gas lines, which was from my safety point, I was glad to see that get done. Also on the Washington Park Boulevard, the tunnel project, we were informed this week that there will be no night work there in May. That they'll start night work. They plan on starting night work in June. So just wanted to pass that along. They have not started the night work yet on site. Unless council has anything for me, that's all I have.
are you moving?
They start, two of them start next Monday. We're getting them geared up there to do their medical testing and finalize all the stuff we needed to do before they come on duty. So next Monday, they start orientation, two of them.
Ms. Schickler?
Thanks. Couple of things. We have reached our limit on the ARPA applications. We have a couple that are kind of in a waiting list situation if somebody drops out, but we're pretty much to capacity on that. I want to remind everybody that it's been just about a year since the department's been reopened. By and large, I think we've had a lot of positive comments from the community, and I just wanted to thank the administration, all of the department heads, and all the residents for all their support. Thank you.
Any questions? Mr. Sickles?
Well, I'll start out by saying thank you, Mayor, for giving such an awesome engineer's report. And I actually don't have anything to add, so any questions? Sure.
So Fabrizi is still working on the 20s. The project that they started, but they're supposed to start the East 26th in May. Is one going to impact the other?
No, it's different crews.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Moving on to purchases and approvals, can I have a motion to add the approval of the purchase of 4013 East 27th Street, permanent parcel number 511-06050 to the agenda at a cost not to exceed $75,000.
So moved.
All in favor of adding it to the agenda, please signal.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, it has been added to the agenda. Okay, can I have a motion for the approval of the March 2025 fund cash report?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. A motion for the approval of to deed two parcels, 511-06093 and 511-06094 to the Newburgh Heights Community Improvement Corporation. So the council knows these are two properties, two parcels that make up the properties for the Paint Medics project. We own them. We're simply transferring them to the CIC so that they can be part of that total project.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Of the motion for the approval to renew the S2 SSA maintenance contract for existing security systems at a cost not to exceed $6,651.50.
So moved.
Can I ask, should we have that, it's to be with Paladin? Because we don't have Paladin's name in there.
On the letterhead.
It's not in the motion.
We can add it.
Okay.
Can do you want me to amend it or make a motion to amend it or?
Yeah, but yeah, I would just restate it.
All right, can I have a motion for the approval to renew the S2 SSA maintenance contract with Paladin for existing security systems at a cost not to exceed $6,651.50. Is that what you were looking for, Mrs.
Yes,
Craig?
thank
Okay.
you.
Yep.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. I have a motion for the approval of the appointment of Stephen Tusai as full-time service department laborer at a rate not, at starting rate of $22 per hour.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. I have a motion for the approval of the appointment of Nicholas Rivera as a full-time service department laborer at a starting rate of $22 per hour.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for the approval of the central phone system proposal from Ring Central with a monthly cost not to exceed $645?
So moved?
Second.
Is this replacing?
Chief?
Several months ago, we were doing some changes to the clerk of court's phone. And the existing phone, desk phones that we have are very antiquated. They're 15 years old. You cannot buy parts for them. You can't even buy them anymore. With the approval of the mayor, I did some research and I've had several meetings. The next three motions that you guys have, essentially what we're going to be doing is one is we'll be canceling our current phone system completely and we'll be going with Ring Central. It's got a lot of neat features, like for example, council's got to come in and manually check the phone that's in here. You don't need to do that anymore with this. It'll email you the voice message and it'll transcribe it for you. And you can also listen to it from an app on your phone. It's got a lot of 2025 technology that we just don't have at the moment. I think you'll be very happy with it.
Michelle will never do any of that. You realize that, right?
No.
Well, I'll be doing it.
Maureen will.
I'll be doing it for her.
And you're on.
Yeah.
He does a room does that.
Right. So the other part is, with our existing internet, we have a fiber network. We have a 100 by 100 connection. We will be, going to a different one, with Everstream that we're going to be going to 250 by 250. So we're over doubling our internet speed. Department heads and officers or employees will notice a substantial difference in the speed of our internet, which is wonderful. And this phone that's sitting up here on the end, this is a demo of what the phone that we're going to have. It's very modern. It's very user friendly. Jim will be happy to walk around, like the Price is Right people or whatever. There you go. Replacement parts, it's a current phone, but this is for both buildings. So fire and service are included in all of this. The last is probably the best, and that is that we will be saving $1,378.68 per month. This is a 3-year contract, so we will have some upfront cost, around $5,000. However, within 4 months, we will have paid that, and from there on in, we're going to save roughly, almost $1,400 a month over the next 3 years. So there's going to be a sizable savings for the village and far better service than what we have now.
So, just so I understand, Ring Central is our new provider
Correct.
and Insight Datacom, they install?
Correct. They are like the Will and Justin IT people, but they do phones.
Okay, so Ring doesn't install their
Ring
own?
does not do any of that. Ring is a very large company, but one of the benefits, for example, the police officers, when they're out in the field, we really frown on them making phone calls to their personal cell phones because then people have their cell phone numbers. Well, with the Ring phone app, you use that and it shows that the number is coming from the police station, not their personal cell phone. Which is a tremendous benefit. The firemen, I'm sure, can also benefit from that in a number of fashions. I just like the features. If we need to change the auto attendant, we don't need to have somebody come in and pay them $75 an hour to do it. We can simply just do it ourselves, and it's very easy to do versus the antiquated equipment we have now. So, in my opinion, I think this is a very good deal for the village. It's a really smart move for us, and when the council wanted their phone put in here, which is fine, we had to rob Peter to pay Paul. Well, Kathleen's only got one phone in her office and her new payroll clerk does not have a phone. Well, now she will have a phone and council will also have their phone and everybody be happy.
Is that gonna help with all the problems we've had with it?
There's nothing to do. Maybe with the speed a little bit, it might make a difference. But as far as the JAV system, no.
I think it was moved. We moved it.
Moved by,
Me,
seconded by?
Steve?
Okay, so this is for the approval of the central phone system proposed by Ring Central with a monthly cost not to exceed $645. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for the approval of the master services agreement with Everstream for internet at a monthly cost not to exceed $1,598.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for the approval of the phone system installation by Insight Datacom at a cost not to exceed $4,422?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, moving and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Have a motion for the, have a motion for the approval of up to $75,000 for the acquisition of 4013 East 27th Street, permanent parcel number 511-06050.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay. Portion of the meeting, we open to the, is there anything else need to be moved, added to the agenda? Okay. Portion of the meeting, we open the floor to the public for comment. We ask that you direct your comments to myself or a member of council. If we need to bring a department head in, we will do that. And we ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes. Are there any comments, questions from the public? Here. Thank you, sir.
Michael Mary, East 41st Street. First, count us as fans of the cameras on the boulevard. We spend a lot of time walking around the neighborhood, and some of the things we see are just appalling. And I think it's just a matter of time until somebody gets badly injured. So we are supporters and will continue to be. Changing topics, is there a plan for maintenance of the plaza?
So the issue with maintenance of the plaza thus far has been a staffing issue as opposed to not wanting to do some. With these two new hires and the return of Mr. Milano for the summer, and then ideally at some point, the hire of a permanent service director, our goal and objective is to make that a permanent part of the cycle. So we don't have a plan at the moment, but it is on the agenda to be made a part of the regular maintenance of the village.
There's something up there that concerns you right now?
We live near the plaza, and I have a few things to say about the plaza. I mean, but first of all, we are fans of the plaza. I think it's an incredible resource for the village, particularly in conjunction with Bob Shop, and anything else that happens on the corners. I think it's a great place to formally interact with other residents of the village. We do that occasionally. There are maintenance concerns that are related to, weeds, plants coming up through the bricks, things like that. But additionally, the way the plaza is used by residents, is a major concern of ours. We spend time, we live there, we travel through there, we spend a lot of time picking up litter, for example, even though there are garbage cans there. The plaza's become much more of a playground than it is a place for people to socialize. And what I mean by that is, school lets out, sit in our backyard, we hear the raucous cacophony of sounds coming from the plaza. And I don't really think that's what it is.
So the immediate need right now is we need to be more proactive as far as policing it or whatever.
I don't expect us to come to a solution here, but have some ideas, but some additional concerns. You'll see people hanging out ceiling fans, climbing the structure of there, playing ball on the street adjacent to it and in the plaza, cursing, fighting. These are things that we call dispatch on. I've confronted people there. These are things I'll continue to do. I'll continue to call dispatch. I'll continue to confront people because if I have guests, it's embarrassing. It's challenge to full conversation. So I'm going to be involved, but I think there are some easy ways to fix it. One thing would be a simple set of rules that's posted near the plaza for what the plaza is meant for, which in my opinion is socializing with people in it. It's not a playground. It's not a place where people fight, curse each other.
Doesn't mean the kids are gonna.
Situation. it's going to get worse. And I'm not here to have a conversation about solutions. I think it's a bigger problem we're gonna solve and provide us up here.
No, that stuff's good enough.
So, yeah, so that's all good stuff. And I can tell you, it is part of the conversation that is ongoing. I like you am there pretty frequently because I visit the pizza shop, or not the pizza shop. Well, that I do visit that, but the coffee shop several times a week. And I'm the same way. I'm picking up cigarette butts. There's a ashtray right there, yet the ground has become the new ashtray. So I'm picking up cigarette butts and litter and trash. So I know exactly what you're talking about. There is a nearby apartment building that seems to be an issue. The landlord doesn't seem to care who he rents to. And I, agreed. This, one of the things that we're gonna be doing at one point, this is that those fans are actually the plan is to remove those fans. There just doesn't, they're not really functional. I think they were well intended, and I think the idea, but in addition, kind of creating a general culture of what we view that for is very important. I think what we viewed it when we had it built aligns exactly, I think, what you're talking about. Is a place where, you know, you meet your friends to sit down and have coffee or, you know, a soda or whatever it is as you're going for whatever it might be, but it's not a playground. 100% agree with that. The chief and I have talked about that, and we're 100% on board. Yeah.
I just, one last thing, on our way to walk to we walked to the council meeting. And we walked down that corner, and 6 kids there running around, throwing the ball around, cursing each other, one of them shirtless, you know, this is everything.
Yeah.
And it's going to be massive problems.
I actually stopped at the stop sign the other day heading north on the way home, and I looked over and there was a young 12-year-old, 14-year-old, something like that, standing on one of the, no, he wasn't standing on the garbage can, he was standing on a table.
Oh.
And I got out of my car and I walked over. I'm like, this is, get off the table. It's not tables. You know, do you stand on your table at home in your kitchen? No. And he looked at me like I was the world's biggest jerk. But whatever, get off the table. And so thank you for doing what you do there. But and raising this as awareness, but we are 100% in agreement, and the hope is to kind of take the corrective action. Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
before
sir.
we go any further, another thing I'm seeing and getting calls about, all these basketball hoops in our streets. They're not on their property, they're actually in the street. Kids are playing in the street. So. Where are we at?
Okay, so there's nothing, the dilemma is this. I don't disagree that you can't just randomly have basketball hoops in the street. However, soapbox. There are no basketball hoops around. There are no playgrounds where you can go play in a basketball hoop. We played football in the street growing up as kids. We played stickball in the street growing up as kids. Let's not forget, kids are going to be kids. So with that, there is a way to do it. And I think what you're saying is it's about being respectful of the neighborhood and the people you live around. I will speak to the chief. We will have a conversation about, you know, hoops and whatnot being in the street, and being obstructions, because they're not supposed to be. I agree with you 100%. But this isn't 1942. You know, so let's understand that we have children that live here.
That's not the problem. The problem is when the kids don't want to get out of the way for the cars.
Yeah, no, I understand. That's right. And that's the point I agree with you on. and, you know, I will have a conversation with the chief. You know, we've done this before. We've kind of trying to manage this as before, and we've had some homes where we've had to say, kill it with the basketball.
Well, we had the basketball court, and we know all that, how that worked out.
Well,
With the kids playing like at 10 o'clock at night.
yeah, right. There's,
The kids across the street and have a basketball, that doesn't bother me at all. But at 10 o'clock, when you got your front door open and that's all you can hear. is the
bedtime.
ball.
Well, we have one at the end of the
That's-
street, and it's great, because it's in the street. I mean, it's a perfect place for the kids to play. But when you're driving down the street,
Right.
and kids are there,
yeah, I know there's one on Pierce that can be a problem from time to time. I don't disagree with you, but I don't want people thinking that we are trying to stop kids from having physical activity.
no, not at all.
But there is a level, you have to be respectful. And that's a conversation that maybe we can have the officers have with the parents. About, hey, ask your, you know, make sure your kids know that when there's a car driving down the street, they gotta get out of the way. This isn't about taunting and showing off. It's about move out of the way, car goes by, you go back to playing.
Exactly.
At 8 o'clock at night, as Ms. Gersh has said, you stop playing basketball when it gets dark. It's time to stop playing basketball. So I will, Chief and I will talk about it. I don't disagree with you, but I also want to make sure that we're working that balance. And by the way, the number of children in the villages seems to be on an uptick again. We seem to be, have more and more children. Chief, go ahead.
Just want to piggyback off what you said. And I took some notes, and I appreciate what you guys share. You're good residents. You filter a lot of good information to us, and we appreciate that. But I cannot emphasize this enough, and that is for residents to call dispatch. They should not call their elected officials and complain that, you know, last night at 8 o'clock, they were doing this. The response should be, you need to call the dispatch center. We will have an officer there within 3 minutes, unless there's something really big going on. And it's so much easier to take care of the problem while it's happening. So please encourage your fellow residents, your constituents, please call the dispatch center when this stuff's happening. And you were never bothering us ever.
Anything else, Steve?
No.
Okay.
Michelle Bobby.
Well.
Okay.
It's her birthday, so she gets a pass.
I have nothing else. Any other public comments? There you go. There you go.
Steve Rhoda, Harvard Avenue. You ever finished that sound curtain? The steel mill,
Which steel mill?
behind the water department?
Long time ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's
just out
been, there was a
here,
wall
south
that
end.
was built. Yeah. Yeah.
Why is it kicking up again?
Okay.
Okay.
We'll,
Oh, you know.
yep.
They took us on a tour of it, showed it to us.
Yeah. That, the reason I was looking at you perplexed is like, because I thought that had been resolved 10 years ago.
It's starting to kick up again. Sounds like a train wreck.
Yeah, you're right.
They've had a couple of.
Good. Mr. Dunman's got a,
So
Much louder.
where that sound curtain ends is right where 42nd Street terminates down there. What we've noticed is they're doing more work right up against the fence where the sound curtain ends lately. I've seen equipment, I've seen the mounds of dirt or whatever it is getting higher, and I see the equipment working above the fence and the brush that's there after the sound curtain ends, right down 42nd. So that might be a contributing factor to the increased noise levels now.
Where they're not even supposed to be, when they make a drop, it's not even supposed to be 3 foot. So we went there and we talked to them, and put the curtain in, and it stopped a long time. And I haven't witnessed it, but I'm sure if it's happening, I'll be right with you.
I think those are two different issues.
Yes.
Okay. You have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Please call the roll on. Jeremy?
Mrs. Cray,
Yes.
Mr. Moran,
Yes.
Mr. Dunman,
Yes.
Ms. Gersh, Mrs. Griora.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned at 7:25 PM. Thank you.
After watching it.
Oh,
Watch it.
That delay is crazy.
Hi, Mike.
You know when he's there tomorrow.
Well, have a good time. Happy birthday again.
It's been a good day. I had a massage this morning. At the Green Zone, which is a freaking place downtown. We went, we're going, right there going out, that's why he's here. Did you see him come in? We, oh, I know. Well, we'll have to go. And we'll make it for both of us.